set your people free from our fears and sins. Release us, Christ, in whom our rest shall be. You are strength and consolation, come salvation to impart. Dear desire of many a nation, joy of many a longing heart. Born your people to deliver, born a child and yet a king. Rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel.
Hello and welcome to Blue Christmas. We think you're the bravest ones for being in the room. We also think it's a brave act to tune in online. So however it is that you found us, we're glad you have. We're glad you're here. Tonight is built around a practice that's perfectly reasonable, scripturally sound, and allowed. It's just not all that common in our culture. We are going to lament or give expression to sorrows. That's an okay thing to do. And while we do it, we're going to let that expression stand even as we hope. Tonight we plant a flag in the ground that bears one message. Sometimes the most wonderful time of the year just is not. And that's okay. For reasons beyond our control, for life events bigger than ourselves, December is tender and bittersweet for a whole lot of people in the world. Once you know that firsthand, you know. You never get to unknow what it is to hurt at the holidays. But good news, that knowing is a kind of superpower. It makes you able to see other people's pains. It equips you to be able to sit with them. It creates in you something more fully human. Bad news, it still hurts. What renders the heavy weights a little lighter and more bearable is the company of other people. People of the right kind, like you're going to find here. People you'll find even in the comments of this live stream or video on demand. People who get us enough to show up, sit down, and not try to fix it. And the company of the divine who does not look away from human pain. Blue Christmas is this ad hoc community that forms once a year. It comes together around specific needs, and it serves to remind you that you're not alone, that there is no shame in grief, and that real faith has room for all the messiest emotions. You are not without faith if you cannot achieve joy. Every honest expression of our lives is acceptable to our God. The order of the evening is printed on a handout. We want everybody to have one, just because we know if you know what's coming, you'll feel most comfortable and most able to settle in. So these were in the foyer as you came in the room, and they're on the large table just outside the double doors and to the left. Hey, band, did you get one? I bet I forgot Nate. If we haven't met yet, I'm Reverend Ginger Brandt. This is my usual room on Sundays, and this night is one of my favorites of the year. I create for other people, the thing that I have needed for myself. Helping me create this worship service tonight will be Rob Mason, Nate and Savannah Evans, and Dave Mayland. All right, so we arrive. Maybe you are recently bereaved. Maybe the shape of your life recently changed in some dramatic and shattering way. Maybe mental health is always your struggle in December, or maybe you are gently trying to walk someone you love through their own mental health struggle. However it is you have a need, maybe you're just sensitive enough to realize that the last 2 years have been one very long slog emotionally through mud and muck and mire. But you have arrived at the right place, a space in which we get to voice the kind of cries God's people have raised for the ages and give rise to the griefs that affect us all.
It's been about 7 years ago, just a week or so away from now, that my mom was diagnosed with cancer. She died about 2 months after that. But that date is not nearly as much of a trigger for grief as Christmas is for me. In part, I think that's because she and I shared a great love of the holiday season, and also because emotions just seem to be more intense during this time of year. It's been many years, but I wouldn't say that I have gotten over it. In fact, I still miss her, but I can say that I am not overcome. Instead, I feel like I can share these words of the 30th Psalm with the psalmist. I exalt you, Lord, because you pulled me up. You didn't let my enemies celebrate over me. Lord, my God, I cried out to you for help, and you healed me. Lord, you brought me up from the grave, brought me back to life from among those going down to the pit. You who are faithful to the Lord, sing praises to him, give thanks to his holy name. His anger lasts for only a second, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay all night, but by morning, joy. I think grief and mourning can be a dark time in our lives, a long, long night, but grief is also a healing process. The acute feelings accompanying loss are testimony to our great capacity for love. And where there is love, anger is fleeting, weeping is renewing, and joy comes with the dawn. This is what Christmas is like every year. Something new, something incredible, something that has never before been seen is breaking into our world. And this fresh light has come to illuminate hope and peace and joy. You are invited deeper into worship and deeper into peace and deeper into God's embrace.
really complicated relationship with Christmas, and it's been true for years. But I could really only put it into words after I started helping create this worship service about 6 years ago. It made me realize, doing Blue Christmas, that Christmas actually depresses me almost every year. That might be weird for a Christian minister to say out loud, but it's definitely true. So I get points under the category of honest conversation. And I also think it's fine to say out loud because it's not the birth of Christ that's weighing me down. It's all the other things, right? If your world has ever fallen apart and you didn't get to enjoy all the common trappings of the seasons, then they never go back together quite the same way, right? They now feel heavy, all those signs of an ideal Americanized Christmas. That bountiful stuff that surrounds the nativity. They speak to me less and less every year, while the arrival of the Christ child speaks to me more and more. Kind of like it's all I have left to hold on to, now that the glitter and the gold has dimmed for me. I don't think that I would regularly be so sad in December if I'd never loved it so very much, if I'd never loved Christmas with my whole heart as a kid. I had a lot of extended family that helped make a lot of magic in my childhood. And now I'm a mom, and my children don't have the same. People who have been crucial in my life have passed from the world already by now. And people who would have loved my children very well are simply not able to. My magic makers have gone. Some of my family relationships, too, are fractured. They're still full of love. All the people love one another, but we're not able to enjoy each other's fellowship in the way that maybe you'd see in Norman Rockwell paintings, in Hallmark movies, in social media, and on TV. We're not like that. The years gone by have piled up so many losses and so many cracks and fissures between us that now there are misunderstandings and distances and different ways of doing faith, and here we are. Toss in some mental illness and the difficulties of aging and all those things that we carry that your family carries too. My exact set of circumstances puts that typical Technicolor Christmas out of my reach forever now. That's why I need songs like Winter Snow, to remind me that there's always more going on than what we see on TV. More than the big boisterous celebration that's out in the world, and that a good Christmas can look like a lot of different things. Something quiet and soft and slow, in fact. That's what I've been trying to give myself as a gift this year. Something slow that falls to the earth, gentle like the snow. Better for me than when kids jingle bell and everyone tells me to be of good cheer. If no one's mentioned this, you don't have to be of good cheer for Christ to come. Christ is coming anyway. Be however you are. You don't have to be of good cheer to receive your own better days. They're coming too, just like Christ is again. Like a winter snow, they're coming, falling in the night to the earth below. They usually don't come dramatically, our better days, and I'm really sorry to say that's true. I hate this part. I hate it for all of us. They land a few at a time without a lot of fanfare, quiet and too slow. They speak of renewed goodness in a voice that's still and small and sometimes hidden. It's just the way it's been for me and all the people I know. Our sorrows are like floods and tidal waves. Our griefs are like mighty winds that flatten us. But then when the waters recede and the days stretch out, better comes quiet, soft, and slow. I have found in the times that I needed to bear witness to my own grief and just be with it, that it's helped not to rush, not to try to time them or me, but just to sit with all the things that cannot be fixed and can only be carried. We also get to put our heavy things down sometimes and let God hold on to them for us. Sometimes it's only our job to sit and feel how we feel. My best advice is this. I learned it from one of my children when he was very small. Just don't disassociate the part that hurts from the rest of you. One of my little boys managed to make it to almost 3 years old before he had a really bad household accident. And what he did first, as like a starter boo-boo, was burn his thumb by touching a light bulb. He didn't know what that felt like. And it was so horrifying that he didn't cry. He never even shed a tear. He just screamed a lot and tried to get rid of his thumb in any way possible. He didn't want that to be a part of him anymore because it hurt. He was done having a thumb. 30 minutes later, I sat with him on the couch and I thought, my gosh, this is how we all are. We want to get rid of all the things that hurt, but then they're going to get better, and we'll be glad they're still with us. Our band is going to play a song that we can use for a time of prayer. This might be a way that you could ease up some of your own load and unburden some of your own sorrows onto God for just a moment. You could use words, you could use meditation, your eyes could be open, your eyes could be closed. Here in the room, you're invited to come forward and light a candle. And then I'll see you when we're done.
Oh, come, all you unfaithful, come, weak and unstable, come, no, you are not alone. Oh, come, bearing and waiting ones, weary of praying
One gift of my messy, complicated Christmases has been that I figured something out. This is our time. I don't want to lump you all in with me. You don't necessarily need to be the us. But if you too relate to complicated and messy, this time is for us, you know. When we're weak, when we're unstable, when we're the barren and waiting, weary of praying, when we're bitter and broken. These weeks leading up to Christmas were actually designed for our people and not the other ones. This church season called Advent was designed to feel more like Lent, the solemn time that we prepare ourselves for Easter. It's meant to be reflective and quiet, carefully paced as we walk ourselves through the dark. Advent is full of references to night and waiting in the dark night. The light dawns in Advent over the people, but it doesn't immediately shine like midday. There's not a 120-watt star on an LED tree. There's a dawn breaking. And I know what that's been like. So do you, if you've ever lost sleep and stayed up all night. Advent is marked by waiting for something we don't have yet. It's supposed to feel a little bit melancholy and a little bit nostalgic because we're looking for home, but we're longing for something even better than the best feeling of home we've had yet. During Advent, we start in the dim light and we begin to navigate by starlight. We walk ourselves closer and closer to the divine, still in the dark. And it may feel darker than usual to you this year, but let me just note that the smallest lights show best in dark conditions. You can see it even in the few lights that we sparked. Everything in the corner changed when a few candles were lit. Maybe the only light you're going to find this Christmas season is candlelight and not floodlight. But light is light. Light is light, so take it where you find it. Whenever we feel the warming effects of that thing, we call it hope. And the core of what might just seem like several more weeks of festivities you are not feeling, at the core of that really is hope. Come again in your annual fresh dose. In whatever measure you need, there is a real and embodied hope that knows human life is hard and painful and imperfect. The hope that we have is sturdy stuff. It was born in a stinky, dank stable or cave. Far from that home we long for. It was born to be gritty and to suffer and to laugh and to make jokes and to love so passionately that hope is indefatigable, even beyond death. How can Christmas be Christmas still without some hugely important piece, without a pivotal person in your life? How can you remake a whole set of traditions that have fallen flat for you? And what do you do? What do you do when you can't make the magic anymore? The urge to run and hide is great, I know, but stop. Just stop running and stop trying. Because you do not need to create any particular kind of Christmas for yourself. You don't even make this thing at all. It's not human made. It's not human directed. Your job is merely to receive it. Don't make it and don't fake it. Just receive it this year. Just let it be, whatever it is. At the tail end of another tattered desk calendar in the bleakness of the midwinter, so many of us are tired. You're not the only ones. We are all longing for something, a bit of a mess, and more than a few of us are heartbroken. So we need another Christmas, but maybe not like the one we had before. Maybe we don't really need exactly what we had before. Maybe, like Rob said, it's new every year anyway. It's a new thing God does this year when Christ comes again. I do believe that our needs are why we still show up for it. In this great big Christmas palooza that is the world out there, where I don't find my place and I feel very out of sorts and out of touch, my bones still tell me that this is the season for us, that we need only receive what has always been meant for us. So to souls who have known trouble, to those who felt ourselves unequal to our circumstances, to anybody who's been unable to save yourself, just breathe in and breathe out and do nothing more today if that's all you can get done. Help is coming. Rest is coming. Love is on the way, as are your own better days. We are, after all, the ones for whom hope is born. The only reason I would step up in this service is to get to preside at this table. Otherwise, we're all on the same level here. I don't know how to heal pain. I can just tell you something about feeling pain. And here is what I've lived. Hiding it never really helped, at least not hiding it from myself or from God. But talking to Christ about it has made it better faster, at least a couple of times. Just imagining the Christ in my mind in whatever form he takes, and addressing to him whatever monologue was running in my head anyway, my anger, my frustration, my sense of indignation that something so wrong would happen to me. I do not understand how this works, by the way. It is not linear and it is not logical, but there's something about drawing near to Christ that eases the pain. There's just something healing in proximity. So come in a little closer. In just a few minutes, I'm going to pray over bread and cup. I'm going to offer you to stand up, if you will, because you don't have to do this, but come forward if you like, right down the middle aisle, and I'll serve you each a communion. It is a symbolic meal more than a literal one, but here at this table and in the act we're about to do together, we remember a very real meal Christ shared, even betrayed, knowing himself to be betrayed. He set the table and he invited the betrayer in, and he served them all, gave them the best of himself, and said, "Take this in. It is sustenance for the journey." So as music plays, come forward as you will and receive. Oh, I'm going to pray, and then come forward and receive communion. Would you pray with me? Holy One, can you make more of us than what is here? Can you gather up all the broken and splintered parts and just do something with this season, with these selves? Sometimes we don't even know what to pray for, God. We don't know how to approach the throne of glory, the Prince of Peace. But maybe we could start with this. There's someone who understands hurting, and that someone has invited us to get a little closer. Thank you. Thank you for being our Christ, inviting us to be your people, for making it more true in every bite we chew and sip we swallow. Allow us to commune with you and one another in these next moments. In Jesus' name, amen.
Lost and weary traveler, searching for some way to go. Stranger, heavy heart, longing for someone to know. May you find a light. May you find
I do not want you to be alone. I've come to believe that's one of the most Christ-like things we can say to one another. In whatever the circumstance, I just don't want you to be alone. So that's what we say to you now. And we mean it in that metaphysical way where you won't feel alone, but we also mean it in a lived out practical way, like a physical way. We don't want you to have to bear up all by yourself. So we offer that this church has a strong history with guided grief share support groups, grief and recovery support groups. We're going to start another one as 2022 begins. It starts January 29th and runs through March 19th. I believe that's 8 meetings. Every one of them is Saturday morning from 10 to noon. So here's what I have to tell you about that. Each week, the group will watch a video with experts on grief and recovery topics. Afterward, we'll spend some time discussing what we've just heard and what's going on in our lives. There's no charge to attend, and our facilitator is Dave Malin, who's played keyboard for us tonight. He wants you to have a way to contact him, so on the back of your order of worship, there is his phone number and his email. You also see it on screen. Just grab that and take a picture if you need to find him. From all I've seen and all I've lived, I believe that you are bound for something holy while you hurt. You are walking into it even now. You are bound for dancing and not weeping. You are bound for a morning filled with joy. You who walk through the world right now in a state of grief or suffering, you are cracked and so leaking light. But already you've made the darkness lighter with what's inside you. And it will not always feel just this way. Try to take in what you can of the sparkly good cheer, and don't be stronger than you need to be in this season. If nothing else, hear that it is such a normal state to be in, human grief. If you fail, and if you doubt and call that failure, it's all okay. Rest assured that faith is made of the same sturdy stuff as hope. It can seem dormant, it can seem dead, but it lives. It grows and stretches and changes, and it moves with you wherever you go. You are never as far from God's own heart as you feel when you're hurting. And if you wonder about that, come as the unfaithful. Come and see what your God has done for you. The very same Jesus we celebrate as a baby grew up to announce these words, "Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are those who are hopeless and humble, for they will be made glad, given a place and lifted higher. These will find themselves cared for." Look that up, Matthew 5 from the Message, and make it your own blessing. Wear it around your neck if you need to. Take it with you where you go. The last story I have is also from one of my children when he was very young. They teach us a lot about how to handle our psychic, emotional wounds with the way they handle their physical ones. So I have one child who really plays up every boo-boo and likes to catalog his hurts for you. He always knows exactly what is a problem on his body. But he had a bunch of minor ones for years and years. It was really not a big deal until one day he had an accident jumping on the bed and gouged his head. It was a pretty large wound. It had to scab over, and it was taking a really long time to heal. So he would tell me daily about this, how bad the wound was, and I would check, and he was right. I couldn't figure it out for the longest, and then I caught him at nap time fingering the scab, reopening the wound. And I said, "Baby, don't hurt yourself again." And he said, "Oh, I'm not, Mama. I'm just remembering where the hurt is." You are so beloved. One day, while you will still remember where all the hurts have been, they will be much, much harder to find, and they will not reopen so easily. We are dismissed into one another's company, into the peace of this good night, and there are a few warm drinks if you'd like to stand around and share. Amen. Go and be blessed.
Lovers of the world unite, bound to Creator's vision bright, that Even these our darkest nights, become the light, become the light. Fashion all you can create that delights the one who incarnates and links himself to the same fate as we sleepers who must rise to wake. Our hope beyond all hope did come to call us each and every one to the surface of our consciousness. God dwells within and always has. Put our feet back on the ground. Contemplation's heart resound. We're still pursued by heaven's hound. Oh, lover, seek us till we're found. Our hope beyond all hope did come to call us each and every one to the surface of our consciousness. God dwells within and always has. Tomorrow's children seek our hearts. Will they know who they really are? The center of 1,000 stars and the breathers of the breath of God. Our hope beyond all hope did come to call us each and every one to the surface of our consciousness. God dwells within and always has. This is what we sing at Christmas.